hard to see what I can see with the camera. But you see, the property is right basically on the other side of that tire. You see there's a ridge there, and it goes down, and then there's a ridge here. This isn't just me driving. It's long standing. Then there's another dip here. Then kind of relatively there's a little dip here. And then another dip. This coincides with the property line. And then this probably right here is the lowest spot on the whole property. So I want to get grass here. I want to keep the grass here. I kick myself for driving. I shouldn't drive. But I have to right now. Sometimes I do 10 trips a day through this area. I try to spread it around and go different places or whatever. But it's the lowest spot. It's always going to, like all this land sheds water down. So it's time to fill it with chips. Just fill it with chips. It'll slow down the water. It'll spread it. It'll sink it. Yes, when it's really wet, it'll be sloppy and I would get stuck in it, but I would if it was mud anyway, and I need to stop driving for those, and then the chips will dry it out quicker. And then when we finally do decide where we're going to actually have a little roadway, I won't be making it near as much traffic. And the chips will have turned to dirt. They'll have infused this whole area with life, and because of increased moisture at least. So we'll have better pasture there. So this is the thing to do. We're gonna fill this little dip from this cherry tree to the back 40 with chips. And then this area eventually is going to be garden, I believe. I'm not certain exactly. Or pasture. So you see that same, so this little area here that's wonky, when I get rid of the chickens and slaughter the pig for a few weeks, I'm going to have veggies. I'm just going to cover that with veggies. Let it rot down, maybe even put some manure on top of it. Try it from that second hump there. And then we'll let the pigs and the chickens. So there you go. 15 or 20 minutes of spreading chips. And what we've done is filled the existing swale-like feature. Not wide or deep enough to be an actual swale, but through natural and man-made causes, there's a dip there. Probably the lowest point. So it's either when it's wet, it's too wet, and when it's dry, it's been driven on and been compacted, and you're not growing grass. May as well grow worms underneath the wood chips, and then for a couple of hours, it might be a little bit too wet. Even you can drive on it if you have to, if you're stuck here and it starts pouring rain or whatever. And it's a lot easier to fill back in a little rut of wood chips than it is to try and move hard packed muddy clay, right? So that's almost a full cubic meter of wood chips in that little dip. You can see little depression hold a lot of water. It'll stop a lot of water that's running, and then the chips will take effect and loosen the soil. Instead of the water puddling on that hard packed clay and getting harder every time it dries out, it will soften. And then we'll spread it out over that whole distance. This is about where this next bed is going to start, so it might plume it over there, not plume it, but spread it over there, and then that, like I said, is going to be a pig and chicken feeding area. Just going to have stuff rot there to fill that part in, and then I think that's all going to be garden eventually, but I'm not exactly sure where the garden's ending, so I'm just pausing on continuing with that program. So yeah, it's probably gonna And you know, this drains, this whole corn patch, it would drain into it too, this area, so it would catch that. All this comes this way. You know, there's other ones here. I have once, I didn't have a lot of chips, so I just put a little dinky little bit of chips in to, take the bump out at least when you're driving. And they've disappeared. You can see the evidence that they were here. But the thing is, you got to do some things in a big enough quantity to take effect. So yeah, even there, I could have dribbled a little bit more in there to take that little dribble out. But that was the worst of it. And I think it's filling existing swale-like fixtures with wood chips is far better than just leaving them bare and always having dead grass or no grass and mud and hard packed when it's dry, hard packed, and when it's wet, muddy, sloppy mess. You may as well cover it with some chips. Make a world of difference. That's my theory, and it's been proven over and over and over again. So I just thought I'd express that.